All right, so this past week was huge with E3, um, and I found this on IGN. Basically, it's a poll where they asked a bunch of their followers who won the showcase.
Yes.
And as you can see here, we have overwhelming support for Xbox / Bethesda.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo comes in second. And then let me pull this
It's
up.
interesting because it's not even a close second.
Yeah, it's not. Ubisoft has 4.1%, and then something else has 5.7. But they don't even have PlayStation on here.
Oh, PlayStation was 93.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah, well, I couldn't watch it because I was traveling at the time.
Yes.
So I missed most of it. But okay, so yeah, it looks like we have a clear winner.
Yes.
Even though Nintendo did have some serious reveals.
So, in terms of Nintendo, I wouldn't say it was serious. I'd say they were more welcome, but
Yeah.
compared to Nintendo E3 past, it wasn't like a banger.
Yeah.
It was consistent, and they had some really cool, like, this game is coming to the Nintendo Switch. That was like, Fatal Frame, Maiden of Blackwater, or Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp,
Yes,
which
that's
is
going to be huge.
which is a great title.
It is.
But in terms of like bringing the new and bringing some, I guess, some expected titles, like a good one that I felt was really missing was Bayonetta 3. It's been it's been a few years since it was unveiled, and
Yeah.
we've seen nothing.
Yeah.
And for the Square Enix showcase, we got to see Babylon's Fall. So it's like, what are you doing, Platinum Games?
Yeah. Which is so I've been trying to keep up with like what's the controversy around Babylon's Fall.
Oh, okay.
And from what I gathered, you can tell me if I'm right or not.
Okay.
The problem is that there's Platinum Games is so good at first person action games that people
You mean
are
third person?
third person, yeah. Or I mean, sorry, I meant first
Single player?
single player
Yeah.
action games that
It's the morning, y'all.
that people that people are like, why are you doing a game as a service? That's not your forte. But I don't know, man. I get why people are upset, but it's like, can't a studio try something new? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, so games as a service overall, like I think it's being just treated, just the term in a bad light.
yes, yeah.
There can be good games as a service.
Final Fantasy
games.
Online,
Exactly.
World of Warcraft.
Yeah, even though we give them the term MMO, they are games as a service.
Yes.
So in that regard, this isn't their first foray into an online centric multiplayer game.
Mhm.
Anarchy Reigns is one of them. And that was mostly just a fighting game with barely any story. Babylon's Fall will at least let you play it single player, and you can see the story.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's awesome in and of itself.
yeah.
I don't know what's waiting in terms of the story because they really haven't unveiled anything.
Yeah.
So they haven't really like gotten my attention in that regard. I think a lot of the negative attention is really into the art.
Oh,
and
people didn't like how it
the
looked.
design of the game. Yeah, it looks very dated and muted, which is a far cry, no pun intended,
from their games.
from the stylings of their games
Yeah.
and how vibrant and punchy they look. Like recently we had Wonderful 101 come out to the Switch.
Yeah.
And then Bayonetta is its own thing.
Vanquish.
Near, granted, was post-apocalyptic, but the art design was incredible. Like the people in Babylon's Fall, they just don't look interesting
yeah.
in any way, shape,
Yeah.
or form. Like I don't think anyone saw that and was like, yes, I want to play as those characters.
Yeah.
Now the gameplay though looks pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest. So I am interested in the gameplay, but yes, in terms of the look and feel, it just didn't look like a Platinum game.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess that's a little subjective too, so I don't know how to say that.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate that it was so negative.
Yes, yeah, I think you touched on a lot of points. When I saw it, it didn't look like I didn't know it was a platinum game until I was reading about it, and I was like, didn't look like a platinum game.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely issues with the presentation and the I
Overall
guess
design.
the overall design. So
But Xbox Infinite came out, and that looks like it took a step up.
yeah,
It's looking better.
so okay, yeah. So let's talk about why
Microsoft won?
Microsoft won. So the Xbox Infinite trailer was excellent.
Yes.
Um,
And the multiplayer and the fact that multiplayer is free.
yes,
That is super cool.
That is super cool because for those of you who are Halo fans, we're Halo fans. We play the story and then it's all multiplayer from there.
Yeah, it's
You
all
beat the story and then it's all multiplayer. All multiplayer. So the fact that I don't own an Xbox right now, a Series X or a Series S, even an Xbox One, I don't own that.
But there is Game Pass, and you have a PC.
Yes,
And Game Pass is on PC.
which means I can play Halo Infinite online. So I like that. I like that they're doing that.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
Yes. No. They're definitely they're punching it up in terms of their service and making it accessible to people that don't even own their consoles.
Yeah.
So that's incredibly important, and the name of Xbox is becoming stronger. And you can see that just from these reactions alone. The fact that they kind of won E3, even though this E3 was a little lackluster in general.
Yes. There was Konami pulled out, like you said.
Yes.
Sony wasn't there.
Yes. And then the Bandai Namco presentation only focused on House of Ashes, and I was like, you've got so many other games that are coming out that I'm excited for, like Tales of Arise and Scarlet Nexus, which is coming out very shortly.
Yeah, why didn't they? That's strange.
I don't know. And then Square Enix's presentation, unfortunately, was lackluster, but only because I didn't really have a lot of expectations coming into this E3. I kind of figured, because of Rona and what's been going on, like there wouldn't be a lot. And I was telling John, a friend of the podcast, that in terms of E3, is it that important anymore when publishers and developers have the ability to contact or to do touch points of game development whenever they want? It's not just solely focused on E3, this moment in time. They can do it throughout the year, and Nintendo proves that with their Nintendo Directs. So is E3 as special or essential?
Yeah, Sony has State of Play, and Xbox has
Xbox Experience.
Xbox Experience, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the industry has definitely shifted this past year. They can let consumers know what they're doing directly.
Yes.
They have it all set up. They have their own format. But that being said, I missed E3 because I was traveling, like I said. But I watched a lot of the trailers, and some of them were really good. And those are going to be the ones we're covering today.
What were you most hyped for?
Out of all the trailers I saw, the one that I guess intrigued me the most, I guess, would be, I guess it's Halo Infinite, man, to be honest.
Okay.
Starfield was cool, but it didn't.
It was such a teaser.
It was a teaser.
It looked phenomenal.
Yeah. Dude.
It looked phenomenal.
And we're going to talk about that later in the show, Starfield. But,
no, Microsoft's E3 presentation, I think one of the reasons why it won, at the very least over Nintendo, was because they showed new games more than ports.
Yes.
Which I feel like Nintendo had a lot of fan favorite ports. Like there's a lot of games that I either haven't gotten to or would prefer to play on the Switch that are coming to the Switch. But in terms of that E3 presentation for Microsoft, it was very all killer, no filler, just an hour or so of games, and they didn't have like a lot of like, oh, here's the developer of this game, and they're going to talk ad nauseum about, blah, 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 which is fine. But when it comes to like those kinds of presentations, I think there are expectations and like, look, we want to know about this game. We want to see it, but we don't need like that in-depth presentation for each game, especially if it's a game that we don't really care for.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you.
So that's why I think Microsoft won. And in my opinion, I do agree that they won E3, but this E3 overall was kind
The
of a
competition wasn't
disappointment.
stiff.
Yeah, exactly. But Microsoft is gaining ground.
Yeah.
And so I applaud them for that because they're bringing in the games and the exclusives, which has been an issue ever since the last generation.
It has.
Since Xbox 360.
It has. So yeah, and we'll talk about more about that later on as well.